I'll see one of two things on this paper in 10 minutes, either your signature or your brains. Does this line sound familiar from somewhere? Or, I made him an offer he can refuse. Yes, bingo. The Italian Mafia. Think about it. When you hear Italian Mafia, classic movie scenes immediately come to mind, right? Men whispering in dark streets, guns, bloody showdowns. But the reality is much more insidious and sophisticated. These guys aren't just violent gangsters. They're financial wizards who have built massive economic empires and manipulate global money flows like master players. Cosa Nostra, Camorra, 'Ndrangheta, and others have been gnawing away at Italy's economy from the inside for years. Estimates suggest that organized crime controls 7 to 9% of Italy's GDP. This means billions of euros. 'Ndrangheta alone hold a 3 to 5% share, making it Europe's richest crime organization. And they sustain this power through the most creative money laundering tactics, poisoning the financial system. This isn't just a crime story. It's also a warning about the dark side of capitalism. The mafia has infiltrated the legal economy so deeply that sometimes an investor behind a restaurant owner is actually a mafia boss. Come on, let's peel back the layers of this structure, examine how it works, its money laundering tactics, and the blows it deals to the financial system in detail. Are you ready? This article will surprise you and perhaps make you question the normal business world around you. The origins and rise of the mafia. From streets to boardrooms, the roots of the Italian mafia date back to the 19th century. Cosa Nostra, which began in Sicily's agricultural lands like lemon orchards, initially offered protection services, meaning they collected protection money from farmers and provided security in return. Over time, these seemingly simple crimes snowballed. They seized contracts in the booming construction sector and incorporated politicians into their system through bribes. Naples Camorra became the master of public tenders, waste collection, waste management, construction. Their fingerprints are on every major public sector. Calabria's 'Ndrangheta was the quietest and most dangerous. Woven with family ties, they control 80% of Europe's cocaine trade. Although these groups seem different, they follow a common strategy, integrating money from crime into the legitimate economy. That is, money laundering. But the truly striking part is their evolution. In the 20th century, they grew in the post-World War II chaos. In economic crises, when banks wouldn't lend, the mafia stepped in with high-interest usury. Today, they've transformed into a global network, extending from Canada to England, even to Australia. For example, 'Ndrangheta's branches in Canada dominate Toronto's construction sector. This isn't just Italy's problem. It's a global issue like an international financial infection. Money laundering tactics, a masterfully disguised art. The mafia's real power lies in their ability to clean dirty money. They funnel billions of euros from activities like drugs, extortion, usury, and human trafficking into the legal economy. These tactics are so sophisticated that sometimes even the FBI or Europol struggles to track them. Here are some of the most striking methods, with real examples. Laundering through shell companies and legitimate businesses. The mafia loves cash-intensive businesses like restaurants, hotels, and bars. Why? Cash inflows can easily be inflated. For example, a Naples restaurant shows a daily turnover of 10,000 euros, but half of it actually comes from cocaine money. Camorra even turned the Naples garbage crisis into an opportunity. They took public tenders, buried toxic waste illegally to earn millions, then invested that money in restaurant chains. 'Ndrangheta has gotten into wind energy farms, funding renewable energy projects in Italy and siphoning EU subsidies. According to a Europol report, billions are laundered through online gambling companies in Malta. Cash bets are collected in Italy, transferred to Maltese companies, and returned as clean money. Real estate and construction speculation. This is a classic tactic. The mafia buys cheap land, threatens competitors to drive them away, then sells it to developers at exorbitant prices. In northern Italy, 'Ndrangheta has infiltrated Milan's luxury real estate. They've even manipulated construction tenders for big events like Expo 2015. Offshore accounts come into play. They transfer money to tax havens like the Cayman Islands or Panama, then bring it back to European banks. A study shows that the Italian Mafia has invested hundreds of millions of pounds in London's property market, even post-Brexit. Collaboration with banks and financial institutions. Here's the most shocking part. Banks sometimes turn a blind eye or cooperate out of fear. 'Ndrangheta has laundered money through German banks. They've even turned hospital invoices into bonds and sold them to international investors. The process that starts with usury turns into high-interest loans. If a business is on the brink of bankruptcy, the Mafia comes in as a savior. But in return, they seize shares. Online platforms are the new favorite. They make anonymous transfers with cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, then convert them to fiat currency, international alliances, and new technologies. The Mafia isn't alone. They form partnerships with Chinese triads, Russian oligarchs, or Latin American cartels. Cocaine comes from South America, unloaded at European ports, Rotterdam, Joya Toro, and the money flows through offshore networks. In recent years, they've entered cybercrimes, fraud sites, ransomware. An article notes that the Italian Mafia laundered millions during the pandemic by selling fake medical supplies. These tactics are so effective that, according to Europol, the Mafia earns 100 to 150 billion euros annually. This is more than the budgets of some European countries. Impacts on the financial system, spreading like a poisonous virus. The blow the Mafia deals to the financial system isn't just money loss. It's a systemic disease that distorts the entire economy. Here are the detailed impacts, with figures and examples. Distortion of competition and market entry barriers. The Mafia kills fair competition by manipulating tenders. Small businesses are threatened. Market share shifts to Mafia-linked companies. A study shows that economic growth is 16% lower in regions with Mafia presence. This is why there's chronic poverty in southern Italy. For example, in Sicily, Cosa Nostra dominates the agricultural sector, inflating prices and crushing exporters. Poisoning of the banking and credit system. Cutting Mafia ties increases bank loans by 20 to 30%, triggering local growth, CPR research. But with the Mafia around, banks avoid risky loans or direct them to Mafia usury. Result: high interest rates, debt traps, waves of bankruptcies. In financial crises, like 2008, the Mafia provides liquidity but seizes control. This increases the system's fragility. Tax losses and blow to public finances. The Mafia evades taxes, swallows EU funds. Annual tax loss in Italy is billions of euros. In the tourism sector, the Mafia seizes hotels and profits 3.5 billion euros, recent reports. This riddles the public budget. Infrastructure investments are delayed, social services weaken, corruption and institutional erosion. Politicians stay in power with Mafia donations. The judiciary is under threat. This weakens financial regulations, making money laundering easier. A study shows that Mafia and corruption reduced Italy's GDP by 1 to 2%, 1996 to 2013 data. Global impact. Mafia money infiltrates London or New York stock exchanges, polluting international finance. Societal and long-term damage. The Mafia suppresses innovation. Companies spend money on protection instead of innovation. In crises like the pandemic, the Mafia opportunistically acts. Fake masks, vaccine fraud. Result: loss of trust, flight of foreign investors. The Mafia plays a huge role in Italy's lost decades. But there's hope. Anti-Mafia operations, e.g. the 1990s Maxi trials, revitalize the economy. When banks are cleaned, credit flow increases, growth accelerates. Major operations against the Mafia. The state strikes with determination. Italy has been fighting for years. Here are the most striking examples. Maxi trial, 1986 to 1992, led by Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino in Palermo. 475 defendants were tried. Thanks to informants like Tommaso Buscetta, over 360 convictions. A historic blow to the Mafia, but Falcone, May 1992, and Borsellino, July 1992, were killed in bomb attacks. This enraged the state. Boss Toto Rino was captured in 1993. Operazione Rinascita Scott, 2019-2023 led by Nicola Grateri, the largest operation against 'Ndrangheta. Over 330 arrests in 2019, including politicians, police chiefs. Over 207 defendants sentenced to more than 2,200 years in prison in the 2023 Maxi trial. The Mancuso clan was targeted, collapsing cocaine trade and corruption. 24,000 wiretaps were used in a special bunker courtroom. 2023 International Operation 132. Ndrangheta members arrested in 10 countries, Germany, Belgium, France, etc. San Luca clans targeted, dismantling cocaine and money laundering networks. 76 defendants sentenced to 1,098 years in prison. 2025 Palermo Operation, one of the largest raids against Cosa Nostra. 1,200 police, 180 arrests. Drug and peso extortion networks collapsed, Ndrangheta links exposed. These operations weakened the Mafia. Membership declined, violence decreased, but they're evolving. They're becoming less visible, more digital. Conclusion: are crime and capitalism twin brothers? The Italian Mafia, like the Yakuza, mimics the system, evolving from violence to financial engineering. With money laundering tactics, billions flow, rotting the financial system from within. Competition distorts, growth slows, society poisons. This isn't unique to Italy. Similar mechanisms everywhere. White-collar crimes in the US, oligarchs in Russia. I've shared many videos about the impacts of such crime organizations on the financial system. You can find some at the end of the video. The lesson? A clean economy is an illusion. Money circulating in the shadows rewrites the rules. If this article made you think, perhaps questioning the investors around you, subscribe. History's dark corners hold more secrets. I'm illuminating them for you. Goodbye.